there are some really cool different ways that I think the industry can progress without having to be a $60 box industry. Without creating the AAA title that has to be $60 and you go and buy it down at GameStop. So, all good points, guys. But I think everyone would agree almost across the board that the state of gaming is in fairly healthy shape. We are at the apex of this generation's consoles. That's what E3 has shown us. E3 shown us a lot of different things that indicate gaming is fairly healthy right now. And then we have to see where things are going to go into the future. And that's why I'm going to tell you what I think about what's going on. Is the state of video gaming good? Yes, I think it's healthy. I think it is very good. There are a lot of ways into the industry now beyond just working on the next Halo or working on the next Unreal, for example, or Gears of War, whatever the case might be. All very big AAA titles, Call of Duty, Assassin's Creed. Any of those big AAA titles, you don't have to be working on that in order to get into the industry anymore. That being said, there are a lot of kind of troubling elements to where gaming is right now coming out of E3. We talked about one of them already, and that is the repetition, the repetitiveness of the industry. As has been well documented, not only how many FPSs there were demonstrated at E3, but how many of them were just continuations of older games. Now, I'm not saying that new experiences can't be gleaned from these kinds of games, but I think there comes a point when you have to kind of reinvent what you're doing, or else you really stagnate in terms of what you're capable of developing. Now, I'm excited by a game like BioShock Infinite because it offers a completely different game than its predecessor. It's a completely different universe. There's probably going to be a completely different kind of set of abilities, and there are the sky cables and all these other kinds of things that are just amazing. I think that will really help to stay firmly within the BioShock universe, but be able to deploy in a completely new and different way, which I think is fantastic. So I'm not nearly as worried there maybe as I should be, but the fact of the matter is, it's still very, very hard to enjoy and be a part of the video gaming world out there without kind of getting on the cash cow bandwagon. If you're going to develop a niche game, then it's going to be a lot harder for you. But I think those ways in are there now. So I think what E3 has shown me through many different ways is that, yes, the repetition is everywhere, and it's almost impossible to avoid. But the potential for innovation is tremendous right now. Not only with those new 16-bit gems like we talked about last week, but the ability, and I put that in quotes, but the ability to create new experiences that people can really enjoy and connect with, the way that people did with games when probably the first time you played them. Right? Think of that. For me, the first time I played games, I really got consumed by this universe. Not because of the realistic graphics. It was just a tremendous artistic outlet. It was a great place to go to have fun. And you connected with those universes in a really tremendous way. When games become kind of click and shoot experiences with, when it's just FPS and it's just motion and action and blowing things up, and I just think there's a limit, there's a critical mass point to how those experiences can rope future generations in. And I'm not saying we're there, but I'm saying we're definitely well on our way. If that exists, we're well on our way for that. So in terms of development and innovation, I think we've got a ways to go. But that being said, I think there are plenty of avenues into video gaming now that are very exciting. And I look forward to seeing what develops over the next couple of years, because it's not going to be like anything we've ever seen before. And I also, looking back to Kado's comment before about the new business models, I think that opens a tremendous amount of potential. It opens a tremendous amount of potential for people to be able to innovate in games without having tremendously large budgets and capital and wherewithal in terms of business. And that really harkens back to the early days of PC and video gaming in general, when folks could kind of get into the industry, innovate, have a really cool idea, and just blow up the gaming world with it. I love those kinds of things, and I hope to see a lot more of that in the future. And I'll be honest with you guys, I think we're going to see it. Now let's talk about the state of video gaming in terms of hardware. It's very clear. The experiences that we all know and love are going mobile more increasingly. Does that mean the Nokia N-Gage is coming back anytime soon? No, that was clearly probably a little bit ahead of its time, if anything. But it also had pretty poor implementation as well, so I can't say it was really that ahead of its time. The point is, folks, gaming's going mobile. With something like the PlayStation Vita, with the Wii U controller being the way that it is, I think it's very clear that we're moving from experiences that you have on your TV with a lot of collective people into something that is the quality of what you would expect to have on your TV in your hands with people collectively over the web or over the net, right? That changes a lot of things. For folks like me, I'm kind of a diehard gamer, guys. I'm an old schooler. I mean, that doesn't surprise any of you guys. I'm sure you completely know what I'm talking about. But the point is, I'm not big on getting out there into the Xbox Lives of the world and just playing with 50 random people. Sure, there's some fun to that, and I do it, but that's not where the fun of gaming is really derived for me. The fun of gaming for me is an experience, both in the kind of in your living room kind of shared experience, either with you and others that play the game, or with people actually in the living room with you, right? Between people that are just your friends. Just friendly people that you know, and you want to share those fun gaming experiences with, whether they were games like board games or whether they're games like video games. And that experience to me is still unparalleled with the Xbox Lives of the world. And I could be completely wrong about that, but that's just how I feel. So, I am an experience kind of guy. Experience first. That's what gaming is all about in my book. So, with that being in mind, I want to see games that bring new experiences. And that doesn't just mean that you have a nice concept that then you connect to a lot of people out on the web. And I think that's been what's happened before. But the idea of bringing an experience that you would normally only have on your big screen TV down into a mobile gaming console is a cool concept, and one I think that they have to continue to push. For better or worse, guys, that experience, they're trying to replicate it down low so that you can play the same game no matter where you are on the hardware that you have in your hand, just as well as you would play it when you're sitting at home. That seems to me to be the future. That's got a lot of potential. And as long as things keep moving the way that they do in terms of our ability to maximize bandwidth to people's houses, we're going to be able to keep up with that movement. And I think that's very exciting. So I'm very excited about that. In terms of hardware, I'm glad to see the Polygon Wars gone, which is what I think we were talking about before with Mr. Kettleman's contribution to the community for this week. I'm really happy to see that gone. You know, booting up my old PlayStation today and hearing the introduction and the boot screen and everything really helped me reconnect with what made me kind of a PlayStation fanboy back in the day, but it also what really made me connect with video gaming systems back then. It was just a tremendous experience at that time where all of video gaming at that point was just so much more, I guess, personal. And I really like that idea of a personal gaming experience. You know, you're really opening up your living room and you're really bonding with this machine that's, you know, sitting in front of you. And I don't think I felt that way for a while. My Xbox is just my Xbox. It doesn't really foster any kind of emotions like that. Maybe someday it will. Maybe someday it will. You know, because I could honestly say my original Xbox has more of that personality than my 360 does. So maybe that'll change. But the point is, guys, I think in terms of hardware, now that the Polygon Wars are over, we can get back to the experience. We can get back to what makes games fun. And we can really do what I think a lot of you talked about, which is expand the environment for games that make it acceptable and fun for everybody to play without, polluting or, how do I want to say this, diluting the waters of the hardcore gamer, right? We can do that. We can do that now with the way that games are moving. And I think that's the state of video gaming coming off of E3. We're in a very good position. We're in a very good situation. It's going to be, video game is going to be very strong moving from here on out. But I'm excited to see where things are going to go. And I'm very, very interested to see how the new experiences are going to come forth from the systems. So, that is, I think, the state of video games coming out of E3. It's healthy, lots of threats in terms of the repetitiveness, but I think we're going to see a lot of new innovations and a lot of new experiences, and that is why we're all here to begin with. Now, moving right along, I figured that everybody was going to be a little bit tired of E3 talk by this point. And so it occurred to me that maybe I should not ask more E3 related questions like we had talked about. We talked about spending a couple weeks maybe doing some E3 questions. I thought about it. I don't think so. I think I'm going to end the E3 talk there, maybe except for only ancillary. We'll mention if we want to, but it seems to me you guys are kind of done talking about E3. Let's talk about something that's more traditional with the weekly Wringer style. Okay? Here we go. So in this week, what I wanted to be able to do was talk about something that's maybe a little bit more deep in terms of our gaming knowledge. All right. So now here's the thing: we had Duke Nukem Forever come out a few weeks ago, and it's a tremendous success, I would say. It's been in development since, for better or for worse, from 1997 on. Okay. Now think about what you were doing in 1997, and think about what you're doing now, and how much life has changed, and that's how long it's taken to develop and release this game. Wow. Okay, unbelievable how different those times really are. So I wanted to think about that. So here's Duke Nukem Forever, which is a success. And again, I haven't played it, so I can't talk about it. But what I will say is this: it makes me wonder. Maybe there should have been 3 other Duke Nukem games that might not be that wonderful in the meantime, right? In between. And I started thinking, what would be better? Would it have been better if we had just seen Duke Nukem 4 or Duke Nukem 4, 5, 6, whatever, and then saw Duke Nukem Forever at this point? Or is it better that we had this Duke Nukem now? And that got me thinking. I'm kind of glad that it didn't work out that way, and that it did take 14, or however many years that was. Gosh, 10, 11, 14 years. So if it took 14 years to develop and release this game, I'm kind of glad that it took that long, because imagine all the really terrible sequels that could have happened in between. Think Mortal Kombat with the reboot that they just had. Think about how many bad Mortal Kombat games there have been to now have a good one. And so I wanted to ask about that. And here's the question for the Weekly Wringer for next week. Here's what I want you guys to answer. What game, what sequel would you go back if you had the ability to go back? What sequel would you get rid of, as in it never happened? You could just nix it from the earth so that it never would have occurred, so you could stay loving the game that came before it, and even maybe the game after it. But what sequel do you just wish had never happened? That is a question I think you guys are really going to have a great time with. So check in with that. Let me know what you think. I can't wait to hear what you're going to say. I have a funny idea. I probably know a lot of them already because I have the same opinions myself. But anyway, as always, thanks for watching. Can't wait to see what you guys come up with for next week. I am the Commodore from the clan of the Grey Wolf, and there is no reset button.